Hi friends, welcome back to another exciting episode of On Location Vancouver. I'm your host Zara Durrani. I'm truly excited about today's episode. Joining me is someone whose story is truly remarkable and bound to inspire you. I'm talking about none other than the CEO of Penny Appeal Canada, Fawad Kalsi. With a background in business, faith leadership, and community work, he's leading an organization that isn't just providing aid, it's breaking cycles of poverty and building sustainable solutions for those who need it the most. From tackling food insecurity and clean water access to destigmatizing addiction and supporting vulnerable communities, Penny Appeal Canada is reshaping what it means to give. But how do we move from short-term relief to real, lasting change? That is the question. In a world where humanitarian crises are growing by the day, how do we ensure that charity isn't just a band-aid, but a force for empowerment? We're going to dig into that and much more with Fawad Kalsi. Today we're here in Surrey, BC, and I'm sitting down with Fawad Kalsi, who is the CEO of Penny Appeal Canada, a visionary leader with over 2 decades of experience in sales, relationship management, and business development, spanning both the private and non-profit sectors. We're going to dig deep into his journey and also the magnificent work that he is doing with Penny Appeal Canada and what brings them here today. Fawad, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me, Zara. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So tell us about Penny Appeal Canada, and obviously you have lots of experience before that, which we're going to dig deep into, but there's a reason, there's a very special reason we're here today in Surrey, and you all made it here. Welcome. Yeah. So tell us about the work Penny Appeal is doing, and especially this Ramadan.
That's a really
loaded question, yes.
To start off with, and yeah, Penny Appeal, we're a global humanitarian relief and development organization, and we are based out of Mississauga, Ontario, and we operate in over 35 countries across the world, and we provide, food insecurity relief to orphan support, thirst relief, and emergency relief as well. When natural disasters strike and so on and forth. We also work here at home as well, providing domestic mental health support and resettlement support, and also help tackle some of the food insecurity problems here at home that us Canadians face across the board.
That's amazing. So not just internationally, but locally as well. Can you dig deep into that a bit more?
We started out 5 years ago. That's when we launched here in Canada. We originally formed in the UK. We have 7 global branches in the United States, in South Africa, Australia, UAE, in the UK, and in Pakistan. Pakistan is one of our implementation offices where a lot of the projects there go on. But here domestically, we are coast to coast, and we've grown significantly over the last 5 years. So we have presence in pretty much all the provinces now, and the latest addition was Quebec. We just introduced Penny Appeal in Quebec last year.
Tell us about your involvement and when you got started, and obviously you're transitioning, with your background in information systems and business development. What inspired the transition?
Funny enough, which is really interesting, and this show is sponsored by TELUS. I actually worked with TELUS for 12 years. So yeah, okay. I left in 2012. I was there from 2000 to 2012, working in various different roles, and I left as one of the leaders in the organization in upper management, and so yeah, that's where I started. I was always involved in the community, the Muslim community specifically, by serving the community in various capacity, because I do have religious authority as well. I have memorized the Quran, and I was an imam as well. I went to boarding school for that in Edmonton. And then I was also, well balanced in the worldly side of things, right, the secular side of things. And so I always wanted to give back to my community. And another thing that we have in common is that I'm also originally from Pakistan.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Calgary, but my parents are from Faisalabad in Pakistan. And why we have our implementation office in Pakistan is that strategically that region there is, Bangladesh, the South Asian subcontinent has so much going on all the time, unfortunately, with poverty and natural disasters and flooding and so on forth, and India as well, and Pakistan. So for us, majority of our portfolio of products, offerings when it comes to the relief space, Pakistan sort of covers all of those, right? From orphan kind to thirst relief, as you mentioned, to feeding our world. And then, unfortunately, that part of the world does face quite often natural disasters, which, as you can remember, in 2022, the floods that displaced 30 million people, we were on the ground helping those people, get shelter, clean water, access to food, and just supporting them during that time. So
that must feel so meaningful, especially when you're on the ground, but at the same time heartbreaking.
Absolutely. I've been with Penny Appeal now for 3 years. And I was a chief development officer prior to taking on the role as CEO. And as the chief development officer with Penny Appeal, that was my first field visit. And honestly, I don't think people realize the devastation. I think we're kind of in a bubble here in Canada.
Yeah.
We take water for granted. To see that 30 million people had been displaced and their homes, their livelihoods, everything was washed away, and now what used to be land was newly formed lakes. And I actually sat in boats on land that used to be their homes to get across because there was newly formed islands because of the flood. They created makeshift homes out of like tree branches and whatever cloth they could find to hide themselves under. That's where they were using the bathroom. That's where whatever livestock they had were tied up right next to them. That's where their children were sleeping. And I just couldn't process it. I was sitting there going, like, I really, like, when I came back, I was kind of upset at myself, at the lifestyle that we live, and my kids and my family. And we complain if the water, someone takes a shower too long and the water gets cold. We don't even complain about the basic necessities. We're complaining about what people call as first world problems. And so I think that's really what affected me. And it took me at least 2 to 3 months to recover from that trip, because every night when I would sleep, I would just keep on seeing those people every night and just thinking about them. And I think that really hit home for me with this specific role. And that's what drives me is, those people, they have us, and they have the wonderful people that support us. And we're going to do what we can. We're going to maximize the dollar for them and do the best we can. And if I could take all my corporate experience and everything that I've learned over my life and put it to good use, this is the best place to have a good job with good impact. I think I feel very fortunate.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
We're not going to solve all the world's problems and all the world's poverty, but I know for a fact that we are solving at least some families' problems, right? Some individuals are going to sleep with a stomach full. Some individuals have a roof over their head that didn't have it before. There's orphans out there that didn't have any love in their life, and now they've got love in their life, and they've got protection, and they've got, a good trajectory in life. So, I really appreciate, you having us here today as well, and all the supporters. Like, it doesn't matter, even if it's $1, if it's your time, if it's just spreading awareness. it all helps. It all helps at the end of the day.
And I feel like, especially in the current atmosphere, we need that good energy and that intention. I'd also love to talk about your work as an imam in Langley, at the Langley Islamic Center, where you work to destigmatize addiction and substance abuse in the Muslim community. I feel like that's something you don't hear about so much. So I'd love to hear about your work there. And obviously, we can tie into someone special that is coming here today, who's very passionate about that.
So yeah, I think our viewers may not be aware, but we've got Dr. Gabor Mate coming in tonight. And everyone knows the kind of work that he's done from his advocacy to even on the plant medicine side and so on and forth. But why I got into, you asked about Langley Islamic Center, and, it's such a beautiful time in my life. I used to just go there I had recently moved to Langley, and I'd go there to pray. And one of the, and I never really flaunted my credentials as an imam or a hafiz. I just sat there as another congregant, another musalli, as they would call it. And one Friday, one Jummah, the imam had some car troubles. And he was a volunteer imam that came, whenever he was available. And so they had their own schedule going on. And so I was sitting there, and the administration of the mosque had asked me that, the imam's not going to be here today. Do you know anyone that can lead the Friday prayers? And so I just sat there saying, yeah, I said, I can. They said, you can? I said, yeah. I said, I'm an imam, I'm a hafiz. So I gave that one khutbah or the speech on Jummah on Friday, and that was it. They just fell in love with me, and they wanted me to continue. And for 5 years, then I was there as the imam. One thing that kept me going was the youth, and the youth were extremely attracted to my personality, and they liked the fact that I was real with them, and I would talk about issues that were relevant to today.
And you're also not, excuse me to say, 70.
Exactly.
So there is the relevance of you understand that more, because I feel like sometimes, and especially the topic of addiction, and then bringing that in, that's, I'm sure you must have seen a lot of eyes opened or changes in people's lives, or people willing to come to talk to you that, hey, listen, I'm struggling with this. Because there can also be stigma and shame around just saying that this is what I'm struggling with, and this is how it's affecting my life.
So on the addiction front, it's amazing how Allah, God, works in mysterious ways. How everything, when you look back in retrospect, it's all connected. So I was young, and I connected with the youth. And then 2012, right around the time that I left TELUS, I got hit with something called chronic pancreatitis. And so the doctors couldn't figure out why I was having this. And they did every test in the book. Unfortunately, the only solution was to put me on opioids. And so they put me on opioids, oxycodone or oxyneo. I'd never come in contact with these substances, and the doctor said, take it every 4 to 6 hours. Fast forward, 5 years later, I was an addict myself, and I was taking 55 pills a day, and I went from being an imam to an opioid addict, and that's where I met, some beautiful individuals in the space, and I was treated using plant medicine by an individual who was, sort of Dr. Gabor's student.
I just got chills right now.
Yeah, and just the fact that I was able to go through that get my life back, I said, I don't care, even if, because I went around looking for help everywhere, and nobody was really able to find the solution for me. And so I was, this plant medicine, iboga helped me to such a degree that I was like, if I can save even one life, then it's worth it. And so we needed to destigmatize it in our community. We needed to start talking about it. We needed to say that, look, as I came out and went to every mosque in BC, and we went on tour, and then we started taking it across Canada, and I said, look, I'm an imam and I'm an opioid addict, and that caught the attention of everyone, and we started out a center downtown Vancouver called the Muslim Care Center Recovery and Addictions, which still operates till today. And then we, by the grace of God and the support of the donors and, our partners, we were able to bring in something called Project Falah, and into Penny Appeal as well. And so that is also serving those with mental health, addiction issues that need a lot of care, and TLC, to be honest.
100%. Thank you so much for sharing that and sharing so openly, because I feel like those are topics like growing up in Pakistan, you pretend that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Close your eyes, just say we're going to pray for them.
You brush it under the rug.
Yes, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. So I truly appreciate you sharing that.
I could have lost my life. Yeah. And the fact that I'm here was a sign for me that that there's a greater purpose for me. And I got, Fawad 2.0, and he's going to do something about it.
Yeah, and you're doing things, and I see like the light in your eyes, and it's really fascinating, because on my show, I've had a lot of people like actors, business owners, whatnot, sit down and share with me. And I haven't like on my socials fully shared this, but on my show I would, because, when someone's sitting down and sharing with me like their struggles, because whether it's business or entertainment or whatnot, there is the lights and like the beauty and the prettiness and the shiny cameras and the perfection and all those things. And I think it's Dr. Gabor Mate who says that the opposite of addiction is connection and community. Not everything is like, the sun doesn't always just shine. Like it isn't just always rainbows. Like situations happen like that bring us to our knees, in more ways than one. And it's just so amazing, and it's so admirable. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate your openness, and I'm sure that someone out there watching needs to hear exactly what you have to say. And I did not know we were gonna jump into this, but one of the things when I was reading your bio, and I was like, okay, I'm very curious. I'm very curious about this one aspect, and I could just tell that we're going to have an open conversation today. So I just want to say I really appreciate that. Let's talk a bit about today, and hopefully people can't hear super loud, but there's lots happening on the other side of the lens, and there's a lot of energy here in this room. Everyone's getting ready for this evening. I heard Dr. Gabor Mate speak last year. I know he's particular about how you pronounce your name, because I'm not sure if I'm saying it the exact correct way, but I really am a big admirer of his work. What's happening this evening?
He's, look, Dr. Gabor is one of the biggest humanitarians out there. I mean, he's a Holocaust survivor. And with the unfortunate events of what's going on with the world, and I just said this previously, that it's amazing how God works and how in mysterious ways, and how we're connected. So I got connected to Dr. Gabor's work on the addiction side once in my life, and then the second side is here, full circle, came back on the humanitarian side. So with the unfortunate events of what's going on in the world, especially in Palestine and in Gaza, Dr. Gabor has been a trailblazer with respect to advocacy for the rights of the indigenous folks in their, in their land, and he has joined Penny Appeal for this event, and this is our third event with Dr. Gabor. Honestly, we're all students here tonight, and we're here to learn from him and his wisdom and what he can tell us and how to deal with these kind of situations. And at the same time, we're going to be fundraising for the relief work and the emergency assistance that our brothers and sisters need in Gaza. And we're hoping for a successful night, and we're hoping that people will give.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just like taken back to like meeting him, not meeting him, seeing him on stage last year, and just the vitality he has, the energy, and
that aura.
Yes, and he's in his 80s, and you're just like, you just want to soak up all the information when he's sharing. It's like, anyways, so your organization, Penny Appeal, has a truly bold vision, creating a world where the world no longer needs Penny Appeal.
Yep, where our organization no longer exists.
Yeah, no longer exists. What are some key steps needed to achieve this goal?
Look, it's a bold statement, but not only our organization, we would like to see a world where organizations like ours, humanitarian organizations, no longer needed. So we have to, I think the most important thing is that we have to continue to strengthen these institutions, right? We're 5 years old. I think we need to strengthen the foundations, build upon them, so that they can become institutions that can serve at a greater capacity. Rather than just, giving a month's worth of food pack or giving a temporary shelter, we get to a point where these organizations are the ones that are not only fulfilling their immediate needs from a medical, from a relief, from a food insecurity, from a thirst relief, not only those perspectives, but from a perspective where we teach them how to fish so that they can eat and sustain themselves going forward, and then be contributors back to society. So if we can create that circle by enabling women, like in Bangladesh, we have a program where, and it's one of my favorite programs, is we have these women who we taught how to create organic fertilizer. And so when they figured it out how to do it, and we taught them, we gave them all the equipment, the tools, now those same women within 3 years have hired all these other women to work for that business, and they are the main suppliers in that region for fertilizer to all the farmers, and their business is booming. And so what has that done? It's created a complete socioeconomic system. And so the goal for Penny Appeal is to create such a system where individuals become self-sustaining and they contribute back to the world. And if we can do this at a macro scale, eventually the need of organizations like ours won't be there anymore, and that's our vision. Before
I let you go, is there something that we didn't cover today, or something that you would like to share with our audience before we let you go?
Yeah, Zara, there's a lot that we didn't cover. I can talk for hours, but I do want to say one thing. I want to thank, first and foremost, God, for Allah for giving me this opportunity. And I have the honor of sitting here today and talking to Zara, but it's not me. There's a whole team that are full of kind-hearted, souls. And they have taken the proactive decision to be not in the mainstream, but work in the humanitarian space. My thanks goes to the team. I'm not who I am without my team, and most importantly, without the support of the donors. And at the top of my list is those wonderful volunteers who come out every single time we make a call. They're out there and they're supporting. Those people are way better than I could ever be. And so I'd like to thank all of them and thank TELUS for this opportunity. Thank you for having me here. And there's a lot of goodness in the world. We just need to sort of uncover it and break those barriers and get involved, and just share the love.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. What an insightful and inspiring conversation with Fawad Kalsi today. Penny Appeal Canada isn't just about addressing problems, they're rethinking solutions. And as Fawad Kalsi shared, true change happens when we shift from charity as a moment of generosity to charity as a movement of sustainability. The challenges are big, but so is the power of collective action. Whether it's clean water, education, or breaking cycles of poverty, the real question isn't how can we help? It's how can we create a world where help is no longer needed. Until next time, I'm your host, Zara Durrani. Thank you so much for watching On Location Vancouver. I'll see you soon.